Ooh. Hey everybody, welcome to the Auto Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I am Jamie, that's Eli. Yeah, we had tons of like audio issues and I know hopefully everybody can kind of hear us. It's we were just pretty much trying to set up his I don't know what the hell you want to call your freaking monitor, not your monitor, pretty much all the audio thing. It was weird. We ended up just downloading something and it crashed my whole computer, which was weird. So I don't know if you guys can, hopefully everybody can hear us. If you guys can hear us,
Yeah,
say something, say something in chat with us. But we were actually just not gonna do it, but somehow I managed to get my computer back
right.
and hopefully, we can actually get something going here for you guys. But can you if anybody's actually in the chat or listening to us right now, can you guys let us know if you actually guys hear us? Actually, actually, let us know if you hear us, please. Somebody just make a comment right now. Let us know you can actually hear us. Would be greatly appreciated if you can hear us right now.
Yeah, because I feel like Wilson from Home Improvement right now. Can't even see my mug here. But yeah, lots of audio technical problems. As you know, I've kind of been making the rounds between Airbnbs. So the place I'm at didn't have internet set up, so we thought we could try to. I brought my Scarlett preamp over to Jamie's and a few pieces of equipment, and it just wasn't happening. Hopped on the laptop quick, that wasn't working. So, but out of respect for anybody tuning in, anybody who likes our stuff, we thought we'd get a little bit of content in. So we're gonna do a little bit here, kind of. And some of you might be happy about this. Like, yeah, you guys should always do a 45-minute show. But kind of a bite-sized out of rhythm tonight. But as always, like, subscribe. We got a few more subscribers this past week, so we're very happy about that. Yeah! And hump day, it's Wednesday, so I got to get up about 4 for work. Jay's got to get going to work after this, so we're busy boys, but we wanted to get this content in, and we put as always on the bottom scroll, we put the big, in our opinion, the big 4 games of the week for week 11. And in week 10, there's a lot of ranked matchups, but a lot of them kind of disappointed. I know. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Can you hear us?
he must be able to hear us, so I'm happy about that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
we were having some total difficulties. I was just pretty much just gonna upload Eli Scarlett so that we can actually have dual headphones and stuff like that, because I had a smaller Scarlett, and honestly, it like wiped my computer for some odd fucking reason. It was just one of those weird things. Awesome. I'm glad you can hear us, everybody. If you guys can, hold on, let me backtrack here. It'll probably be short. We will actually have we'll talk about some duds. Eli's gold star. We'll get in some waivers. I don't know if we'll get in squad blitz or the 6 players, but we'll see what we got time for here. But we appreciate everybody joining us tonight after our long hour delay of difficulties. Honestly, I was gonna throw a fit and start trashing everything.
I think we both were. This would have been the classic rock star trash a hotel room kind of thing. And I think there might have been Jamie's computer that went out the window here, but
hey, Anthony, do not say that shit.
Okay, he's a troll. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to Anthony.
I think I'm gonna ban this guy right now. Where's my ban button?
Yeah, right. I'm gonna permanently mute you. Don't do that tonight.
Yes,
it's a sensitive topic.
Yes, yes, Anthony. Do not do that. But please, everybody, if you guys can, please give us a like, subscribe, follow our content, please. Follow me at Other Than Fan. Follow that guy over there on X over there as well. If you guys didn't catch, I usually upload, the top 4 waivers, for the top 4 guys that I think you need to be added. Then I do a whole I do tight ends, kickers, and defenses as well. So that comes out a little bit later on the next day. So if you guys make sure you just follow me at Allar Fan, and I'd be greatly appreciated. You guys, I know a lot of you guys actually like the stuff I put out there on X. I know there's a couple of guys out there that actually appreciate it. I know Danny over there out at X, since he's new to kind of the college fantasy. He said it's been very, very helpful for him. So, Danny, thank you for that. I appreciate the comment on that. It's very helpful for you. Eli and I, we take a lot of pride in what we do and what we put out here. We like to be really thorough about what we put out here. So that everybody understands. Like that. Well, not pretty much understands. What you're kind of getting into. It's just one of those things. We just put a lot of detail into the work what we do. But yeah, quick. I'm just gonna pop this up quickly.
Yep. Get that up there. Spotify. Got all the. That's just my personal preference. I know Jay probably listens to Spotify. All the previous stuff as well. YouTube, as always, got a great playlist over there. Got shorts. Whatever your tolerance is for us. Whether it's the shorts, bite size, you want the full episodes. Jay's got a great playlist over there. It's all organized, and a couple other platforms too. What can we say? We're going global here.
kind of, sort of, honestly, to tell you.
Because who else would have streamed tonight? I mean, a lot of other content creators would have called it a day, threw in the towel. I'm looking for a towel in his room. I don't see one. This is the famous Jamie studio, by the way. I make about 3 appearances a year. Usually we do the draft, and then I'll do one or 2 of these cameos just to change it up a little bit. But we will be back normal next Wednesday with some week 12 preview, week 11 recap, and all the goodies, all the bells and whistles. So you can bet your ass about that. Tonight was just weird, but we're making it work.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll get into some. I don't know. So we wanted to kind of I kind of recap just real quick and just a couple of games. I know Eli and I, he was over here the other day, they're doing some stuff here. We kind of talked about the Ohio State Penn State game. I just kind of wanted to talk about that real quick. Everybody was.
I'm gonna have to take this down here when I talk about the. Okay, and I can combine this, because we're trying to keep format here, trying to save a little time tonight. When my put the graphic up too, Jay, for Drew Allar. He's blacklisted. Let's just be honest. Yep, he's trash. Okay, number 54 fantasy quarterback. Dude, you have I mean, he's got Warren the tight end. I know Singleton the running back. He hasn't hit exactly like people thought he would. He was an NFL prospect. Running back. Don't have the greatest receivers in the world. I get that, but I mean, it's Penn State. They're not hurting for talent. And the 54th ranked fantasy quarterback hasn't done much lately. Last couple weeks, and that's why he's in this position. I ain't touching him again. Neither is Jay. I'm not betting on Penn State. Nothing. They lose big. This is what they do. They lose big games. They come up short. It's sad that we got to watch this sorry ass team in the playoffs because damn well they're gonna win out or they'll find a way to sneak in. Even if they're 10-2 or something, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to weasel their way in. I'm sick of Ohio State too, but at least they win some big games every now and again. Like Penn State does not win anything. They are fool's damn gold.
Yeah, it's for me, it was just kind of a crazy thing to think about. I mean, I was watching the last little bit of that show, or not the show, but I was actually watching the last little bit of that game, and I was not impressed because I was like, Penn State was actually at the goal line 3 times. All he did was ran it straight up the middle. No trick plays, no nothing. I was like, what? Like, this is Penn State's game? I'm like, no way in hell. I'm like, they couldn't do no trick play. They could have run Allar off the side to try to get a score. No, they were just like, it was just like a traditional. It would just run up the middle, hoping that something would happen. What?
Jay, and there's some I'm not going to name any networks, ESPN, CBS Sports, that they're comparing. Some of the pundits are comparing this guy to Josh Allen. Are you on crack? Are you serious? Are you high on meth? Like what? In what universe? Josh Allen, even Wyoming Josh Allen would have ran that shit in. There'd be no debate there. It's like Drew Allar is 6'5", I think like 235. He's a big kid. Like what the hell are you? just no. He has no nose for the goal line. Not a big game guy, and he was decent last year. I think he was the number 32 ranked fantasy quarterback, and that's what got everybody hyped for this year. Like, oh shit, this he had 25 touchdowns last year, but you got everybody hyped, and Penn State's just going to disappoint again. So whether Warren, the tight end, is the only guy that I trust. I mean, really, and when you start looking down the list of especially their skill position guys, Warren's the only guy I trust. Like fantasy wise, that's the only guy that week to week that I would be comfortable playing. Drew Allar, to me, it should be sitting on your bench on your fantasy team, and now he's blacklisted. Okay, I spared this week, Jay. I spared Miller Moss. He was benched, but he's actually thrown a few touchdowns. I spared Carson Beck. I think he's had 6 picks in the last couple games. He's about one more. Carson Beck's about one more game away from being blacklisted. But it was Drew Allar this week that got the axe. He got the hammer.
Yeah, I guess for me, I wasn't really, I was just like, I thought Penn State would have been a little bit more hyped, but I mean, they looked more just your
lifeless.
Yeah, pretty much. On
offense at least, their defense. I mean, Ohio State's got some players. I mean, holding them to 20 points. That's defense showed up. I'll say, but yeah, their offense, Jay, was lifeless.
I mean, for me, I guess to have them ranked over the Hurricanes is
in Indiana too.
Yeah. Honestly, they should.
Indiana's been thumping everybody, and they have this shit Penn State team ranked over them. I think on a neutral site.
Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Ohio State. They have them ranked over how they have Miami over Ohio State over Miami. So I'm like, that's for me. I don't think I think Ohio State is actually on the same playing level field as Penn State. They have the weapons, but they the last 2 weeks, you think about this, they should have blown out the Huskers. They didn't do any of that.
No, they could have. I mean, they could have easily lost that Nebraska game. We saw. I mean, Nebraska, even in that rain on last Saturday. I mean, they shit the bed against UCLA. They're not that good. They're 5-4. You should have stomped them out. You're a playoff team. You're a national championship contender. You got to stomp out a team like Nebraska. They barely got by. Penn State, that wasn't a super convincing win. I know Penn State's a formidable team, but that wasn't super convincing either. Yeah, you could put that. I can't wait for that Indiana-Ohio State game in a couple weeks. I can't wait for that. I want to see where Indiana stacks up because they've been smoking everybody. They're up to number 8. Like they're currently. I got a little bracket here. They're currently one of the playoff teams. Right, playoffs. If the playoffs started right now, it would be Ohio State would play Boise in the 2-12 matchup. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. You know what? I think Boise's got a good chance. I mean, they went toe to toe with Oregon when Oregon beat Ohio State. Boise could at least keep that close. I mean, that'd be an interesting game if that it ends up happening. And then Indiana's got Tennessee. I think Indiana, the way Nico has been playing, and Tennessee. I know they got that defense and they got Dylan Sampson. I get that, but Indiana could win that game. So Indiana could win a playoff game here. And then they'd get Oregon. So I mean, I can't wait to. Indiana's the team that intrigues me after last week. I know it was just Michigan State, but 47-10. They've been smoking everybody in sight. I'm sick of the other, Ohio States and Penn States and Nebraskas, all these other Big Ten teams that are letting people down. Like, give me Oregon, Indiana, or some Miami too. They were struggling there for a couple weeks. I mean, they were really, putzing around with some average teams, but they smoked Duke. They're putting up. I mean, Cam and the boys, dude, they're putting up 50 a week. You can say whatever you want about Miami's defense, but their offense is putting up, 50 points every week. I mean, it's incredible to watch. Jay's pulling up something. I'll just give a few other observations quick. And if he wants to chime in and piggyback. Tulane, who we both like a lot, love their running back, Mekhi Hughes. Tulane's up to 7-2. I think they have one too many losses to be in the G5 conversation for the playoffs. So the same thing with UNLV. UNLV's 6-2. I mean, they just have one too many losses to be in that hunt. Let's see, going on the list. Oregon obviously smoked Michigan. Michigan, they're irrelevant now. I actually hope they lose out so they're 5-7. And we don't have to talk about them again. They miss a bowl, and Just Michigan's just a sorry sack of shit. They can't. Can I put up my other dud there? You want to put up?
Yeah, if you want to. I mean, if you want to look at running backs, and
you
stuff
bet.
like
You want to put up Mullings there? Yeah, let's get this. Let's just get this out of the way. Let's get the junk out of the way so we can get to the good stuff, get to the waivers, get to the happy stuff. Because there's a lot of negativity going on. Mullings and Donovan Edwards hasn't been any better. Trust me, Donovan Edwards has been shit. Their whole backfield has been garbage. And Mullings was a guy we talked about. After the first couple, maybe week 4, week 5, like he was the hot commodity, hot pickup at running back. Never was going to give you anything in the receiving game, but in terms of rushing yards, he was cranking out 100-yard games, and that's when Michigan was winning. You're like, how the hell how is Michigan doing this? Their whoever was Jack Tuttle or whoever their quarterback was winning with like 85 yards passing. Like, how are they doing this shit? And then finally caught up to him. And Oregon smashed them. Texas A&M, they lost Le'Veon Moss. Their stud running back. They go down. So I think their playoff hopes I'd say they're pretty much finished. The 2 losses. Clemson, same deal. Miami's not losing twice. So, and they're not going to put a 2-loss Clemson team in over a 1-loss Miami team, if that were to happen or something. So in the ACC. So Clemson's done. SMU, they kept their playoff hopes alive. They have 1 loss. They're 8-1. They knocked off Pitt. I think that eliminates Pitt though. So I think there was quite a few eliminations. Iowa State, I think Iowa State's done unless they come back and win the Big 12. So I think there are about a handful of teams, Jay, that got bounced this weekend. Their playoff hopes are like this piece of paper here, just crumpled up, done.
Yeah. I mean, I know we talked about Mullings here and there. We wanted him to because at the time Michigan actually had kind of a 2-headed monster. We thought Edwards must have been picking it up for some reason.
He was an NFL prospect. I mean, if you were just, I don't blame anybody. Like if Donovan Edwards had been there, and I'm okay. Blake Corum moves on. Edwards was kind of his backup last year, and they won the national championship. Like, Edwards is going to take the baton, and he's going to have a 1,000-yard season, or kind of carry the flag for Michigan, carry the water. It hasn't even been close. I mean, I can't remember a guy that was that highly touted that pretty much just killed his NFL career. Because I can't see him getting drafted now. Donovan Edwards, like and Mullings, he's a upperclassman too. I forget if he's a senior, but it's just pathetic. 8 carries, 16 yards for the season. Not bad numbers. 7 touchdowns, a little over 700 yards. But he doesn't give you anything in the receiving game. So when he's not getting rushing yards or touchdowns, he's useless. And he just kills your lineup if you have to put, if you had to put him in because of all the buys going on right now. It's very hit and miss. I don't know. There's a couple. What was I gonna say? You know what? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Raging Cajuns. I was gonna give some love because we don't get to talk about them a lot on here. Louisiana. They're like Popeyes. Louisiana fast. Louisiana Raging Cajuns. They won. So I mean, if they were undefeated, they'd be right there with Army and Boise. They'd be in the discussion with the G5. I think Louisiana just doesn't have the strength of schedule. But if the Raging Cajuns went 11-1, what a season, man! I mean, that'd be incredible. They've had a few fantasy guys pop. I think we've had a few of them on our waiver report, especially on Jamie's. But I just want to give some love to Louisiana. They're having a damn good year. Oh man, big win. We got the Ohio Kent State game over here. Oh. Kent State is trash. This is Wednesday night, the 6th. Whenever you come across this, but if you're watching live, 41-0 Ohio. I mean, Kent State's going to go 0-12. They may in fact we may in fact be watching the worst FBS team. I mean, like I think North Dakota State would stomp them. You bring up some of the FCS, Sacramento State, Montana. I mean, the Jax, SDSU, Southern Illinois. I think all these teams would beat Kent State right now. They're awful. I don't think Kent State has a single fantasy guy anybody would want. Yeah, Jay's looking at Mullings stats right now.
I'm stunned here because if you think about, I mean, he had three, like back in early September, he had 20 some odd fantasy points last of those 3 weeks. Pretty much a dud. 15 points in October, and now not even 2 fantasy points. I mean, yeah, that's saying a lot. I mean, I guess Michigan's identity in crisis right now because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
He's got 2 catches. They're these really good receiving backs will have 2 catches, 10 yards in the first quarter. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's got 2 catches, 10 yards all year. Yeah, you're not reading that wrong. Like, they're man. I don't know. I just hope they go 5-7. I hope they lose out. I'm tired of hearing about Michigan, and they got their natty last year. Harbaugh left, and lost a lot of players. Loveland's still there. He's the only guy putting up stats. Let's just be honest. Colston Loveland's the only guy that you'd want with your fantasy team. Mullings could easily be blacklisted himself. I mean, usually it's a 1 week guy that's bad. Like the dud and the blacklist. This week they're interchangeable. I mean, both these guys to be blacklisted. Mullings, I'm not touching again. Edwards, same thing with Edwards. They're dead to me.
Yeah, but Mullins is actually should be on the same list as him. Honestly, Mullins should be. I mean, he hasn't done anything. I mean, back in September, he hasn't done. He only had a couple digits fantasy games there, and they were only 15 and 14. So I mean, honestly, there's no reason to keep this guy. Honestly, I mean, they have their offense has been really seems like it's been trash. I mean, I've actually had Mullins, and I'm like, I might be dumping him too, actually. So I mean, for him to be blacklisted it's crisis. And any Michigan, like Eli said, any Michigan, just totally get rid of them. Keep the tight end. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Loveland is the only guy that out roster going forward. These last Michigan's got 3 games left, 2 games. Yeah, I think they're 5-4. Yeah. Happier stuff. Tre Stewart. Yeah. Not to be confused with Terry and Stewart from Bowling Green, but Tre Stewart's just been tearing it up, man. And there's a couple other candidates. Jalen Kitna from UAB had 6 touchdowns, 400 yards passing this past week. So he was in consideration. They're like, oh, isn't that John Kitna's kid? You damn right it is. Former Bengals, Seahawks, Cowboys quarterback. I know Jay remembers John Kitna, but so his kid can sling it a little bit. He's been doing good the last few games, so he's kind of the honorable mention this week. But Tre Stewart, one of the most under the radar 16 total touchdown seasons you'll ever see. I mean, I don't think anybody until I dug into a little bit, I'm like, holy shit, and it's all pretty much been within the past 5 games. I mean, Jacksonville State's played 8 games this year. They lost the first 3, got smoked, and then all of a sudden it's like they hit a switch. Tyler Huff, the quarterback, he woke up. He's been ripping off touchdowns, rushing in, passing, and then you throw it over to Tre Stewart, and because he's not going to get a lot of love. You got Caleb Johnson, the stud from Iowa, 19 rushing touchdowns. You got Ashton Jeanty, stud, Boise State, in my opinion, the best player in the country, 20 rushing touchdowns. So I mean, that's some stiff competition. And then you throw in RJ Harvey from UCF. I mean, there's just Taj Brooks from Texas Tech. There's just stud running backs everywhere you look. So Tre Stewart hasn't been getting the love nationally like he should. And in Jacksonville State, they're a hard team to talk about for us, especially for waivers, because they tend to play Tuesday and Wednesday nights when we're doing our stream. So we don't want to tell, hey, go pick this guy up when he's, you know what I mean, when he's playing. It's like hey boys, he's playing tonight. Hey boys, he played last night. I can't pick him up until whenever the waivers clear next week. So. We've been staying away from him, but I've been tracking him. I'm pretty sure Jay has too. Tre Stewart, he's been tearing it up. 16 total touchdowns, 15 of them rushing.
Let's not get him confused with Terry
and Stewart. Yeah,
let's not get him confused with Terry.
There's Terry and Stewart, and then there's Tre Stewart.
No, the only downfall about Terry and Stewart is that crackhead could not give me a freaking touchdown last night for my props, and all I needed was him. He was right there at the goal line. Could have just let him run a touchdown. I would have been happy. But no, let's blame the weather, and I blame Terry and Stewart for losing my prop.
How in Bowling fuckers. Harold Fannin Terry and Stewart, that Bowling Green team. I mean, they got a few weapons. Like they should be, honestly, they should be better than they are. I mean, they should be in the not like 8-0, 7-1 mix, but I mean, they should be in the 5-3, 6-2 range. But Bowling Green, played last night, and so I was over here. I was making some notes, but I wanted. I'm passing. I'm running the option here. I'm handing it off.
Yes. So actually, Terry and Stewart on the season, actually out of nationwide he's actually ranked 9th in fantasy points right now. He's got
or he meant Tre Stewart.
Yeah, Tre Stewart. Yeah,
the number. Yeah, that's crazy for a Jacksonville State player to be the number 9 fantasy running back. Did anybody know that? Hell no. And Jay, he's got it's not all touchdowns. He's got 914 rushing yards. He doesn't give you a ton in the passing game. Like he does have one receiving touchdown. Like he's not giving you a ton. Like 250 yards catch, receiving and 24 catches or something like that. Like he's not giving you that. But with the rushing yards and the touchdowns, number 9. I mean, that's incredible. And Tyler Huff, the kind of his partner in crime is number 11. He's the number 11 fantasy quarterback. So this Jacksonville State team is on the rise.
So as of now, we have Eli Henrich from Navy, who's got 551 receiving yards. We have Cam Thomas from UTEP. We have our favorite man, Scadaboo. Yep, with 404. Then we have our favorite other guy, Desmond Reed. He's got 385. So
well, Desmond would have had more, Jay, but the last couple of weeks, Holstein and Pitt, they've kind of had extra bye weeks. They've looked like shit. Yeah. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, those are just some of the guys that in the past game that you can kind of benefit from just a little bit. But I mean, with pretty much Tre Stewart here, I mean, just pretty much cramming it down the throat, man, dude. He has almost 1,000 some odd rushing yards on this season. I was trying to think here. So he actually has 15. He actually has 15 rushing touchdowns already.
Yeah. One of the, like I said, one of the most under the radar 15 rushing touchdown seasons you'll ever see. Just no pub nationally. They play weeknight games a lot. And they're 5-3. I think Jacksonville State would be, they might even be ranked if they were 7-1. They might be 23rd, 24th, 25th. But they're picking up steam, 1-5 in a row. So just giving some love to some of the guys that we haven't brought up Tre Stewart a ton. So he might be the next guy. We love us some Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Love us some Ashton. I love me some RJ Harvey, UCF. But he's the way he's been playing the past couple weeks. He's put himself right in that mix. Well, Jay's looking at that. Did you want to pull up? Let's see. What are we working with here? You know what? Let's get the waivers. You want to get in the waivers?
Yeah. We'll get that going up here.
Let's do it. Let's go. Got our gold star. We got our dud. We got the blacklist. So I actually be 2 blacklists this week. maybe 3 with Donovan Edwards. But you know what? Let's get into some waivers here. Wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. Number 1, because why the hell not? I don't know why he's still out there, but he's available in 2 of the 3 leagues that me and Jay do on Fantrax, which is ridiculous. 16 total touchdowns, enough said. We got bye weeks going on too. So you have a guy who's got 16 total touchdowns. You got bye weeks going on left and right, and you're letting him slip by. Yeah, no, not on my watch. Not on my imaginary watch here. 72% rostered. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. Like, subscribe, support the content, spread the good word. Any college football fans, family, friends, anybody, help spread the gospel of Out of Rhythm. Yours truly and Mr. J. I love that Angels hat, by the way.
Right? Fucking dope, right? I love it.
That's the closest they're that's the closest they're gonna get to a TV screen for a while. So what has it been? 11 years since they made the playoffs, or I forget the last time they won a series or playoff, game. Pathetic. Just that, yeah. The great hat, great logo, pathetic team. Tre Stewart, number 1, only 72% rostered, 64% started. So basically, what that means is like if he's rostered, he's playing. But the fact that he's only 72% and not like 85%, so there's that wiggle room, and that's why I said 2 of the 3 leagues. Anthony should be a Braves hat though. Don't give him any ideas. That'll be he'll be on Fanatic. He'll be on fucking Fanatics tonight, or new era. There'll be a new era fucking Braves cap coming in. Oh shit. I don't know if he might have to get off camera for a second and take a look. He might have, just for you, Anthony. He might have to.
I don't know if I have a Braves hat over there though. I don't know.
So you have to take a look. Maybe he'll order one. But yeah, Tre Stewart, number 1. We're gonna talk about him all night because he's a fucking stud. 16 total touchdowns. Number 2, Amari Thomas, only 53% rostered, so he's gonna be available in just about any size league that you do. We use Fantrax because it's just what our preference for the fantasy college. So and that's the leagues we do together. But I'm pretty sure if you do it on other platforms as well, Amari Thomas will be sitting there. It's ridiculous. 4 total touchdowns the last 2 games, almost 200 yards receiving, 16 receptions. So he's averaging, basically the last 2 games, he's averaging 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions, 10 targets, and about 90 yards. So which ain't bad. That's not and we're not saying he needs to be your rest of the year starter. I mean, he'd be a nice bye week fill-in guy. As with Terry and Stewart, or Tre Stewart, you could probably plug and play right now. The way he's at it, like you could put him in and feel comfortable starting him the next, probably to the rest of the season if you know running back, especially with the Le'Veon Moss injury. I know guys out there need running backs. I know Le'Veon Moss was heavily rostered. We talked about him a bunch on this show. He's out for the year, so you're going to need a stud back to fill in, especially with the playoffs coming up in your fantasy leagues. Amari Thomas, I think, is just a 1-week, bye-week fill-in guy. But like I said, 4 touchdowns last 2 games. Really picking up steam, especially with Jalen Kitna. That's kind of since Kitna took over at quarterback, that's kind of been his number 1 guy. That's kind of been his number 1 target. So they have a nice thing going. I'd ride that out. Number 3, he's actually playing tonight. He ain't doing much. So Eli, why are you bringing this up? Because you know what? I love me some Blake Bosma. That's why. Because I think injuries from Cal, he could get a little love too as being a free agent tight end. He could. I think Jay might have something to say about him. And I know he said something about him, I think, last week. But yeah, so I'll go with Bosma. I've used Bosma before. I like him a lot because the guy's got 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. And that's not hyperbole. Like for a tight end to be averaging, 6 catches, 72 yards, 2 touchdowns the last 2 games, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's elite stuff. That puts him up in rarefied air. He's only 33% rostered. So, I mean, Bosma for especially a bye week fill-in guy, he's perfect.
Yeah. Well, right now, the last two weeks, at least, 32, 17 fantasy points. I mean, he's getting peppered with targets, not quite in double digits. So, I mean, I think, probably a good 3 to 4 average target per game, give or take. They played Buffalo here. He had 3 touchdowns. He had 1 against Kent, which was 1. They're playing tonight. So, I mean, he's got 2 targets, 1 reception for 6 yards as of right now. But I mean, look. I know we kind of mentioned him before. I mean, he's kind of hot streak. He'll
streaky, very streaky.
Yes, yeah. We can just put it out. He's
that's why I wouldn't rely on him to be your every week. He's not a Warren. He's not a Loveland from Michigan. He's not an every Fannin. He's not one of those like every week starting tight ends but if the week you need him, for a prop or for a fill-in bye week guy, he's very capable and he's done it. 2 touchdowns, maybe 3. I mean, he could help you win your matchup that week. So I would definitely keep an eye on him. I know it's awkward tonight. You're like, if I pick him up, I can't use him this week. Yeah, but Jay's brought up guys on buys before. It doesn't mean they're off limits. They're you just have to wait a week. Basically, you pick him up now, stash him, and then maybe use him for week 12.
He pretty much just put a star, put a little star there, so you can look at your watch players and like, okay, well, if he's got a good matchup. And I was going to look at that real quick too, because the next 2 games, they play They play Bowling Green. I think they play Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan. So I mean, those are all great matchups, especially if you do get into the playoffs and if he does get on a hot streak. And these are all good matchups for him to be playing in. Especially if he's getting peppered with getting a little 7 to 6 targets a game. That's he's averaging six receptions a game most likely, and a little bit over the 40-yard mark, which is better than nothing at all. And if he scabbles in a freaking couple touchdowns in there, I mean, you're going to be looking fine.
You're looking mighty fine. And he ain't playing. Jay read off the list. Got a couple Michigan schools.
Yeah.
Bowling Green. He ain't playing JMU, which is the number 4 waiver pickup this week. He ain't playing JMU's defense. In Fantrax, they have 205 total fantasy points, averaging almost 20, a little over 25 a game, which for a free agent, defense is great. I mean, that's one of the top in the nation, honestly, for average per game. I think they had 9 sacks their previous game too. So, I mean, they've been on a hot streak. Got a little, giving up about 17 and a half points a game too. Yardage wise, aren't giving up a ton of yards. I mean, just a good, solid overall defense. 81% rostered, 60% started. I think JMU is the perfect. Honestly, it's probably at this point, it's probably a defense you could use. Just in general, if you had a bye week, and me and Jamie are strict on that. We don't recommend carrying an extra defense or carrying an extra kicker. We from our NFL days, if you guys remember that, like we're not big on because a lot of these are interchangeable and waivers are always full of kickers, or they're full of you can go get Minnesota's defense too. Minnesota's got a very solid 20-point a game defense that or fantasy wise, they're always sitting there. So there's always a decent defense or decent kicker you can pick up. So, but JMU, honestly, you could use the rest of the year.
Yeah, you could, because they actually got. I think
you wouldn't have to bench them or drop them or
week 12 they actually got Old Domain, which is not a good. I mean, especially if you're in your semifinals there, or getting closer to semifinals or first week of the playoffs. I mean, Old Domain is not bad. And they play Appalachian State, which is not bad at all. And then they got Marshall at the end.
Marshall's trash.
Actually, James Madison might even get you your championship. I mean, if you think about, they played that must be Mississippi.
The only team it would be Appalachian in the middle there of those 3 games. That'd be the only one, because Joey Aguilar is a stud, the quarterback. That'd be the other 2 are just great matchups.
Their wide receivers suck too. So I mean,
they don't help.
I had some of their wide receivers and I dumped them right away.
Aguilar's a stud, but they're not exactly helping him with that. But you got three favorable, 2 really good matchups there. I honestly, if you can snag them up and your defense isn't like an Indiana or an elite defense, I would just roll with JMU the rest of the year. It'd be one of the best pickups you could make. And Caden Veldkamp, there's a few other quarterbacks you could probably have over him, but Miller Moss got benched. I know guys need quarterbacks. I know Jamie said famously about a month ago, I'm not really looking at quarterbacks anymore. Well, and this is true, but when a guy like Miller Moss, who was at the very least a backup, right? I mean, he could start a lot of weeks for fantasy owners, but at the very least, he was your 2. Like Miller Moss was rostered just about anybody would have him. He's done at this point. He's done. So you're going to need a quarterback to fill that spot. And I know Veldkamp is available in a ton of leagues. Under 50% rostered. He's about 31% started there. Some of his stats: 9 passing touchdowns. So he's had 3 passing touchdowns in each of the last 3 games. Only 1 interception, and then you throw in 2 rushing touchdowns. So that's 11 total touchdowns and 1 pick. No fumbles in the last 3 games. So he's been kind of tearing it up. The Hilltop, Western Kentucky. I love their mascot. Western Kentucky's been on fire the last 3 weeks as well. So I thought we haven't talked about Veldkamp at all, but he's had a really solid season. So we're rolling with him. I think he's got 17 passing touchdowns. So real good year. But he's most of the 9 of the 17 have been the last 3 games. Any thoughts on these 5, Jay, before we get into yours? I know Bosma you covered, and JMU. Did you have any thoughts on Veldkamp?
I was actually just going to look at his stats here. I mean, a guy who's averaging 30 points per game is not bad in my books.
No,
Honestly,
if you can't get Tyler Huff, from Jacksonville State, who's another stud who's available in a bunch of leagues, you can't get him. I know Josh Hoover from TCU is available quite a bit. He's another guy hovering around 30. If you can't get these couple guys, I think Velkamp would be a nice consolation there. Maybe number 3 or 4 quarterback you could probably have.
I mean,
he's hovering at just under 30 per game.
Well, he only had one game where he only had one touchdown. That was against Toledo. And the rest of the games, he's averaging between 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, which is crazy.
Yeah, and
which is crazy to think about.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's taking a few sacks here and there, but I mean, as far as interceptions, I
think it's only 4.
I mean, he's not. I mean,
no, he's not.
Yeah, he's got 5 interceptions on the
five.
season. Yeah. 5 on the season, which isn't bad. So I mean, you can tell he's taking care of the ball real good. So I mean, making good decisions with the ball, and I just want to look at.
Yep.
They pretty much. I'm not sure who LT is for.
Louisiana Tech.
Okay, yep. Yeah. So they got to play them, and then they play Liberty, and then they got Jackson State at the end.
Ooh. Velkamp and Huff at the end of the year with Tre Stewart. Ooh.
Then they play
one of the games of the week that were put up.
They actually play New Mexico State, I think, this weekend. So they'll probably
they'll smoke them.
Yeah, so
that'll be another 3 touchdown game.
Yeah,
you could probably Jay, if you had a buy, and you most guys have decent backup quarterbacks, I'd say, but if you're in a pinch, if you're like, oh shit, Miller Moss got benched or something else weird happened, my guy's on a bye, Velkamp would be a nice guy to plug and play this week. He's got a really good matchup. 3 passing touchdowns minimum the last 3 games, 2 rushing touchdowns. So he'd be a plug and play guy, 1 week bye week starter guy. I probably not the rest of the year with him, but definitely this week.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll jump on over here to we'll get these on up out of here. We'll get these up here, and so if you guys don't follow me on X, you would know the first 4 guys would come out Monday morning. So those guys are already put out there already in Monday morning. So if you guys don't follow me out at Auto Rhythm Fan, you should do so if you need some help for your waivers, for guys to kind of take a look at, for overall thoughts. But all right, so we have Jordan Tyson, who actually played against OU here this last weekend, and I was like, okay, let me take a look at this guy. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? So I mean, this guy is averaging 15 points a game. He's only rostered in 34% of leagues. I like what he's got going on, honestly. I mean, for the rest of the season, he's got UCF, Kent State, they have BYU and Arizona. I mean, these are all good matchups for him to
especially Arizona.
For him to
They're trash.
For him to play targets. I mean, he got pickled 14 targets against OSU here this last weekend. He had 1 touchdown by 81 yards. I mean, I like the fact he was getting looked at in that aspect of everything. But overall, he might be a guy you can kind of decide on if you really want to plug him in. But he'd be a guy I would be looking at, because I didn't pick him up yet, but I was going to start picking him up in leagues. Looks like somebody already picked him up in our dynasty league, so that kind of trickles out. But I might be able to snag him up in a couple other leagues here yet. But once again, somehow CJ Campbell is on this waiver wire once again.
Don't ever not go with a good thing. Campbell, I always see him sitting there, and I'm always tempted. I'm always tempted to go and pick him up. And so we both have the same opinion of him. He should definitely be in your top 3 guys to look at for picking up, especially with the bye weeks going on. I'm all about Campbell.
Yeah. He actually, as far as I know, he had 2 rushing touchdowns last weekend, and he had a rushing touchdown this last weekend. Far as I know,
almost every game you can count on it that he's going to have at least 1 touchdown.
Yeah, for sure. They do have ECU this weekend too as well, so that might be a good matchup to for him to play him against ECU this weekend.
I agree.
As far as I know, I mean, ECU is kind of coming around a little bit. They made a quarterback change. There's a guy that you can see right up there from ECU too. That's kind of been coming up too. I'll talk about him briefly here, but Campbell, I mean, he's averaging quite a bit. He's actually getting a touchdown almost every game. He didn't have one against the Roadrunners, but that was a little bit dipped down. But I think overall his consistency.
Those fuckers, those little Roadrunners. You know, we haven't mentioned them since Josh Cephas last year, the receiver. But Roadrunners, they pretty much ended Memphis's bid for it to be a G5 playoff team. They knocked Memphis off, and now Memphis is 7-2. You know, I love me some Memphis and Mario Anderson, so I thought I'd get that in there quick. But yeah, those damn Roadrunners. UT San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, Campbell does get a little bit in the passing game too, a little bit. I mean, he sees a little bit in there. I think, you know, a good 2 to 3, you know, average receptions in there. Just if you average it out, he probably averages about maybe 20 to 30 yards in that pass game there too as well. So I mean, he does a little bit in there. 44% roster, 33% started. You know, I think his schedule coming up at the end is not too shabby at all as well. I was trying to think I mentioned, yeah, ECU, Temple, Tulsa at the, you know, the last for the championship game, you're playing up against Tulsa. Then I think they got UConn in there too as well. So not a bad start if you're looking for a guy. Joshua Simmons, he's kind of hit and miss. In my eyes here, I think he's kind of more hit and miss a little bit. I'm gonna just pull up my thing here real quick. It'll be easier for me to read off what
you do that. I'm gonna see if he's got that Braves hat. Jamie's gonna read this off quick. I'm gonna see what he's got.
All right. Joshua Simmons, game pretty much sophomore, tight end position has been difficult kind of to hit on. You know, Simmons is 10% rostered and only started in 4% of leagues. Simmons had a eventful, you know, he had a eventful 30-point game, 5 targets, 4 receptions on 32 yards here this last weekend, 2 touchdowns on average. You know, Simmons sees 4 targets per game, 40 yards on average, and, you know, maybe a touchdown here and there. But Simmons does have Vandy, so that's a good opportunity, you know, for him to actually see targets against Vandy. And they got Mizzou coming up too as well. So, but Simmons is kind of your boomer bust. You know, he's very, very touchdown dependent kind of guy. If you're looking for someone in that aspect, and that's so if you're looking for someone, he'll be a guy you might want to take a look at if you're really desperate for a tight end. Now, the other hand, our other guy here is
he has been on fire, this kid.
Right? We have Mr. Kitna over here.
Jay, you have 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. You catch our attention.
Yes. Yeah, he is the son of which Kitna? The guy who
John Kitna. Former Cowboys quarterback. By the way. They might need him. Dak's out for Dak's on IR. They might need John Kitna.
They might. Let's call him up. He might be needing some help.
Or his kid. Shit.
Well, I mean, you put up a 50-point some game here this last weekend. I mean, that's saying something here. So, Kitna would be kind of more of your very, very deep flyer since he's only started in 4% of only 4% rostered, and only like 2% rostered or 2% started in some leagues. But
he's been around since like, you know, 2021, was it 2022?
Yeah, I know. I kind of looked too. He kind of bounced around a little bit, but you know, for only starting for, you know, the reason why he started is because, you know, the main starter got injured. But other than that, Kitna has tossed 10 touchdowns his last 4 starts here. You know, struggled a little bit, but you know, I mean, other than that, he does take a few sacks here and there. But I mean, you know, pretty much a high risk, high reward kind of player, you know, in his aspects. But I mean, other than that, he could win you a matchup. I mean, it's not in my eyes. But he does got UConn, Memphis, Rice, and I think that's North Carolina or a different UConn. But yeah, I mean, other than that, some of this stuff is actually not too bad. I mean, he's got a good match. Rice might be a good matchup.
Rice is a good matchup. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
UConn is probably a little bit more difficult. But I mean, the other, there must be. I can't think of
It's just, yeah, like he's saying, it just depends on how desperate you are.
Yeah.
You know, is it a bye week, injury, or yet Raiola or Nico, you know, ineffective freshman, like whatever your circumstance is. Kitna is strictly it's like when you hit the emergency glass to get to the fire extinguisher. That's him. When you need if you need an emergency, like, oh shit, I got maybe the kid will be, because he actually, his game before this was really good too. I know he had a couple touchdowns, so it's not just a 1 week wonder. I mean, he's had a few games leading up to this where I think Jay's got his yeah. So yeah, leading up to this with Kitna, he had South Florida 384 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had almost 250 yards against Army and Tulane as well. But those are better team. I mean, those are Tulane could probably a top 30 team. Army's obviously a top 20 team. So I mean, those are better teams. But you know, it's got some favorable matchups coming up. I like Jalen Kitna a
ton. So the next guy on my list here is actually Chase Sowell.
Soul.
His
soul.
It sounds like it. We need some soul searching after tonight for sure.
I do too.
You know, with the redundance of Caden Hauser, kind of feel kind of into this offense here. I mean, it helps, you know, so well. So he's pretty much the wide receiver one on this team here. So he's kind of peppered with targets, but not so much. But it seemed like with the change of quarterback, he finally kind of seems to be kind of finding himself here. So I mean, with the thoughts of him, you know, against Army, he actually had 10 targets, 7 receptions, 138 yards, and a touchdown. So the last couple of games here, he's actually saw a receiving touchdown. He's only averaging 14 points per game, but I mean, I think, you know, with them playing Florida Atlantic this week is not a bad option. You know, I think you might have seen a touchdown in this. I think they play Tulsa, North Texas, and Navy. So I mean, these are all just great matchups for him to actually eat. Maybe see some more 100-yard games and a touchdown.
Jay, didn't Tulsa just give up? Weren't they the team that gave up 6 touchdowns to Kitna?
Probably did.
I think they did. Navy's imploding as we speak. Lost 2 in a row. You start going on a list. Those are North Texas. I mean, their quarterbacks. You know, Chandler is great. Ward the receiver, but their defense could stop a nosebleed. So you got some really good matchups coming. Soul might be a guy that his get him while his value is low. You know, even if you pick him up and just put him on the bench right now, like the next couple weeks, he might be a guy that he might be a gold star player for us. You know what I mean?
Might be.
Yeah. Like a surprise 180-yard game and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's totally, you know, that'd be a little far fetched, but I mean, yeah, like Jay was saying, ECU is coming. ECU is coming. They've been doormat, you know, for years, and you know, it's good. It's good.
The only guy I liked at ECU at the moment was Keaton Mitchell, because I had him in my fantasy.
I know, and it's been a couple years since he's been gone. They haven't done shit.
No, they've been kind of irrelevant right now. Yes. But you know, with maybe a resurgence of, you know, little change of pace might help this this college out here a little bit.
Yes. What about Malik? What about Malik Murphy?
I know. I mean, I was kind of watching this kid. I know I think he left Texas to become a Blue Devil. I know you're a Blue Devils fan, you know, and
got that tattooed on my shoulder.
Maybe, you know, I think maybe
might have to get it removed soon. I don't know.
Murphy should have went down to UNC. Maybe they would be a little bit better off. But you know, it's just kind of one of those things. I mean, I see a little upside with him a little bit. I mean, this last weekend against Miami, I mean, you can kind of, it's kind of like when you see some, you know, good talent. It's kind of like the mention when we talk about like Baylor and we talk about Texas Tech. You know, the teams that, you know, should be easy wins, but they end up being, you end up being like a step back for a moment kind of thing.
Like if Texas Tech was in the AAC or Sun Belt or, you know, conference like that, like Texas Tech would be 10-2. Like, so we're, you know, when we compare, I mean, they'd beat Memphis. They would be a lot of these, you know, better That'd be an interesting game. I think Army would probably win, but I mean, that'd be a close game, Texas Tech and Army. So, I mean, these are still Big 12 teams that, with Baylor and Texas Tech and programs like that. And so Duke, I don't think Duke's, in that mix, to be honest. Like, they should, I know they put up 31 on Miami, but Miami's defense is awful. They should have done a little more than that. But, yeah, Duke, I think the Big 12 is better than the ACC. I do. So, like, Duke stacking up against certain teams in the Big 12, I think. I mean, even Houston, who just beat K-State, like Houston might be a problem, for Duke and beat them. So, I don't know, Murph. I don't know. Do you have his fantasy stats? Like,
yeah. I mean, the last two. I mean, they played MSU. I mean, he put up 29 points. Put up 29 points against the Hurricanes. I mean, he threw for nearly threw a little bit over 300 some odd yards there, 3 touchdowns. He had 3 interceptions, had 1 sack, but I mean, other than, he doesn't really give you any upside in the rushing side. He's a little bit more of your pocket passer. But I mean, he's tossing 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns. So I mean, in my eyes, I mean, it's if you're looking for just a guy that's going to be there and
one week fill in,
yeah,
emergency kind of,
yeah. But I think he'd be a little, if you're thinking about it, I'd probably take Kit now a little bit more.
I would too. I would take Kitten over
Murphy.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're looking for somebody, they play
or Tyler Huff, some guy like that.
Yeah, they play. So they play North Carolina State this weekend. They have a bye, and then they have Virginia Tech and Wake. After that. So I mean, these are all pretty good matchups for back and forth. Pretty much the over/under probably pretty high on these games, so it'll be a lot of back and forth. And
once promising season for Duke, though. I mean, they're probably going to end up 7-5. I think for a while there, they were, they're, and we don't even talk a lot about them fantasy, with fantasy players, but yeah, first real Murphy reference. But yeah, Duke has kind of been. I think they were 6-1 or 5-1.
Yeah, they started off pretty hot.
Yeah, so Duke, I think Duke's going to have a cold end of the season and probably end up 7-5 here. But
yeah.
We got a raging Cajun right here, Terrence Carter. Ooh.
And I grabbed my notes from the previous here, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an overlay.
Yes, please. I was talking about Louisiana Fast. We were talking about Louisiana earlier. It wasn't about Popeyes. It wasn't about the Saints. It wasn't about LSU. It was about the raging Cajuns. And Jay's going to bring up Terrence Carter here in a second. But
yeah, I will here. As long as I can kind of find my notes from last time.
It's one of those nights.
Yeah, with all the audio and difficulties we were having tonight, it was just one of those nights where I'm just like, what, screwed. I'm done and over with it. But somehow I managed to get my computer rebooted and we're back in action. But I don't know how
he waved a magic wand. He just fucking grant me 3 wishes, Genie.
Yeah, I thought I did, but I know he was on our waivers here before. I brought him up. I don't think I had him. Sorry, everybody here. I'm just trying to find my notes, but I guess I'll just kind of.
He's lying. He's getting a reach around. It's a little distracted at the moment.
Yeah. No, I usually have all my notes and stuff ready and prepared for tonight, but that did not happen tonight. So I was not happy, but looks like once again somebody snagged up Carter off the waiver wire already. He's
bastards hate that when that happens.
52% rostered, 35% started. And when I was looking at this, because from the previous week, I was like, okay, I'm like, we need a guy who's somewhat consistent, but he's not going to like flop.
We can't. Yeah, if you and Terrence Carter is a definition of a 1 week fill in bye week guy. These guys, they have to hit in some. They have to get you at least, and that's why we look at targets a lot too for guys like this. Okay, if he's consistently getting, Meeks from Syracuse, he was consistently getting targets, so it's like I feel safe that he's getting 9-10 targets. Well, at least he's going to get, you think, at least 5 receptions. So Terrence Carter, a guy like that, you need him to get 5-6 balls. Maybe you get lucky with a touchdown, but at least maybe 75-80 yards. Like you can't have anything less than that. You can't have a 3-catch 21-yard kind of game, and so sure. And Carter isn't gonna do that to you because he's Louisiana's #1 target.
Sweet,
so he's a big part of their great season. So I don't think he would shit the bed.
No, I mean, if you think about, the beginning of October there, I mean, against App State, 107 yards, touchdown. I think that's some other kind of Carolina 100.
Coastal Carolina.
Yep. So he had 7 receptions, 149, and a touchdown. They played Texas State here. They didn't really do so hot there. 4 targets.
Neither did Joey Hobart, the stud on the other side. So
I mean, but he does got some good matchups going forward, though. I mean, Arkansas State, South Alabama, Troy. I think that's Mammoth at the end. UL, I think that's Mammoth down at the bottom there. But I mean, he's got some good matchups here at the end. So I mean, if you really need some guy that might give you some high up, he's kind of a boomer bust kind of a guy.
Louisiana Monroe.
Okay, yeah, it was one of those. Yep. I couldn't remember exactly, but if you think about it, I mean, he should be a guy you could probably snag a couple touchdowns off of if you play your cards right, especially against maybe South Alabama or Troy. Those would probably be some days where he actually sees a touchdown. Probably wouldn't see like 149, but maybe damn close. But I mean, overall, I like what I see here. And, I've heard, because I kind of watched some Raging Cajuns when they played against freaking Tulane. So I was like, ooh, Tulane, Raging Cajuns, all right. But he had a touchdown against Tulane, 4 for 79. So I mean, Tulane
is that their only loss? I'm trying to think of their
against Tulane. Yep, only loss against Tulane.
Yeah, so when we make the argument that 7-2 Tulane is damn good, I mean they are. I mean this Louisiana team is very good. That's their only loss. Tulane lost to K-State and Oklahoma. So I mean these teams are good, and I didn't know that, man. That was fucking nuts.
Right? Yeah,
I was kind of thinking of like, well, because Louisiana, that's not a team you expect to be 7-1 or possibly 8-1. It's not a team at the beginning of the year that I was like, oh shit, they're going to be, maybe ranked. I mean, they're probably top 30 team right now. So it wasn't on my radar. But yeah, Terrence Carter wasn't either, but he is now.
Right. Kickers, on the other hand, if you're looking at kickers,
is it Dragon or Dragon?
Yeah, right.
Is it Quiche? Quiche?
Yeah, Quiche or something along those lines. They're playing Rutgers. Rutgers is, they're kind of, Minnesota is a spotty team. I know I kind of
also 6-3. I didn't know that either. They're better than Nebraska now.
I mean, the only thing they got going for them is their run game a little bit, So I mean, they kind of got
Taylor.
I think it's Taylor. Back. Then I mentioned one of their wide receivers here. That was just a very like, if you really needed someone desperate, he might do you some well, but he was kind of spotty too at the same time, So
what was it, Rashad Bateman?
Right? Where's
spotty Minnesota receiver? That sounds like that.
But when you think about Minnesota's, Minnesota in general, the only thing we know them for is their defense.
Yep.
I mean, when you take a look at their offense, I mean, they might be flashy with their unis, but when you look at their freaking, the offense, it's kind of like, they're kind of like a hit and miss. It's like, it's kind of like tossing a little water on there. They kind of sputter out. So they get hot a little bit, then you toss a little water on there, they'll sputter out. But so with it. So then with them playing the Rutgers, I don't think they're really going to be putting up a lot of points. But I think Mr. Dragon, the last couple of games here, he's actually had double-digit fantasy points, 13 and 15. So I mean, he's actually had a couple extra points up in there. So I mean, a lot of extra points in there. He actually had a couple, 30 beyond 30, and he had a couple last weekend against Illinois, 40 to 49 yard kick. So if you find a guy that's actually kicking a little bit farther, it actually helps you out in the long run. Adds that kicker bonus. I'm sure however your settings are in your league, I'm sure that helps out a little bit too as well. Especially the farther you get away, the more points they are. But I mean, with Minnesota kind of being a little orthodox a little bit, but they got Rutgers bye, then I think that must be Portland State, and then they play Wisconsin. So I mean, there's a good opportunity for him to actually probably kick more field goals than they can actually score points.
Jesus
Last but final, Boise State there. If you're looking for a defense,
you talked me into it. I'm gonna go right now. I'm gonna go pick
but Boise State here. If you're looking for a defense, I think Boise State is, will be kind of legit. They play Nevada. This last.
Oh, Nevada's trash. They'll hold them to like 3 point. If they can get the sacks up, if they can do like a JMU-esque 9 sacks and 3 points against Nevada, that would be like the defense of the week. So Boise, I'm fine with that if it's like a 1 week fill-in. I don't think they're like JMU or Indiana where you can pick them up and start them the rest of the year. But I think Boise's this is a great matchup here.
Yeah, they have San Jose. After that, they have the Spartans. After that,
that's what I mean. Like you got to face Nick Nash.
Yeah, but for them playing Nevada, then they have Wyoming in week 13, which is probably not
another good matchup. The Wyoming's
they gotta do it. And then the championship, they play Oregon State, so I probably wouldn't use them. So I think if you do need a defense, you're kind of scouring. I think Nevada would be your best bet for Boise State, and then you'd be probably looking elsewhere after that.
Yeah, perfect. Bye week defense, love it.
Yep. Just real quick because we're kind of I got to get going here too soon. Quickly, just some quick notable games here. Georgia, Ole Miss, Colorado, Texas Tech, LSU, and Alabama, and then we got Washington. And I don't know why I picked 4 at Washington. Washington is not 4.
Probably thinking of last year,
right? But yeah, probably just because I was trying to. I was gonna probably delete it, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm done. Doop boop. But other than that, Penn State, Washington, I hope maybe Washington can kind of come around.
I'm pulling for Washington. I'm tired of Penn State. I want them knocked out of the playoffs. I don't want to see Drew Allar in his monkey ass get fucking the 10th seed in the playoffs and then you bounced. I'm sick of it. I'd rather see a Newton, some new blood, Indiana, or somebody else. Just anybody. LSU and Alabama don't care. That's pretty much an elimination game if you think about it, though. Losers out of the playoffs for sure. You can't have a 3. You can't have a 3. As many good teams as there is this year, you can't have a 3-loss team in the playoffs. So that's an elimination game. I think Colorado's got to win out. If Colorado wins out 10-2, it would take a lot of a lot of work from the other Big 12 teams, but Colorado, if they win out, they've got a good puncher's chance of getting in the playoffs. I think that'd be awesome seeing Shedeur, Travis Hunter, all those guys. So I'm pulling for Colorado there, and they're ranked again, so that's great. And then Georgia, Ole Miss, don't care. I'm tired of these same old SEC schools. I guess this would put Ole Miss out of their misery. So I guess I'll pull for Georgia just to put Ole Miss. No. I'm tired of Ole Miss. Just put them out of their misery. Give them another loss, and we don't have to talk about them being a playoff team. Just done it over with. I think that's 3 losses for Ole Miss too. So get them out of here.
But Jackson Dart had 6 touchdowns this last weekend.
I think they did something with Parrish, the running back. I don't even know if he's on I don't know if he's on the depth chart anymore. There's some news on Parrish. Like he's had he was having a damn good year.
Oh, I think he might. I know there was a couple injured game. I know there was a couple injuries during that game. I don't know if Parrish was one of them or not. I know Trey Harris didn't play, and then I think one of their there was somebody else that got injured that was in the offense. I can't remember who it was, but I thought it was one of their other wide receivers.
Better not be Trey Harris. Him and Jackson Dart are the bread and butter.
They are.
So I'll recap quick. I'm taking Georgia, Colorado, just because I'm sick of Alabama. We'll take LSU, and then we'll take Washington the upset. Fingers crossed on that.
Right. I'm gonna go Ole Miss. I wanna see what Colorado does. I'm gonna go Colorado there. I hate Alabama with a passion just because Alabama's always talked about in media. I rather root for LSU because I like LSU products, and I am going to go for Washington over Penn State because Penn State they played horribly this last.
Tired of seeing them. I want them out of the playoffs.
Me too.
Want them gone. Out of mind, out of sight. Or out of sight, out of mind.
Jesus.
And then I will say, I'm going to, me or Jay, one of the two of us, if you look forward to the Squad Blitz segment, we're going to post the graphic for that up on X or I'll probably get on get that from Jamie quick. I think I had to do the graphics this week on his computer because mine, piece of shit. I didn't have any internet.
Well, maybe if you have the Canva app, you can download.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll
you
find
can
it on my goofy. I'll find it on my
download
goofy phone
it.
here. Yeah,
you can download it and then you can upload it.
There we
on
go.
your X. And maybe if you want to, put your props out there for the weekend, you can put your props.
Oh yeah, well yeah. So we got 3 things that are exclusive because you're never on the X. Well, I will be tonight. Props for if you want to see my sleeper 5, that'll be up there. You want to see the squad blitz, which we all love. We all love squad blitz. I just wanted to note that me and Jamie are basically playing in our own elimination. We have an Alabama LSU matchup going on. He's 4-6. I'm 5-5. So basically, the loser's done. Is for the playoffs. So.
Well, in my other league, I'm actually like 8-1 or whatever hell it is in my other spy blitz.
Oh, league. So but in this league, we both need the dubs. So you can kind of see what I got going on for my team for week 11 and squad blitz. Yeah, if you haven't signed up for that, sign up for that. Great what those guys do. And then the week 11 players to watch. There's a couple retreads. Guys we've talked about a lot. There's actually a few Jacksonville State guys. Huff and then Stewart, Stewart the running back. So and a couple other different guys. Yeah, right there. You know what? The hell with it. You know what? So
I wrote those put up real quick there.
Yep, and I'll also repost it as well. Kelly that's a big that is. If you want a fun matchup, that's going to be a lot of points. Texas Tech, Colorado, can't wait for that. Iowa, Caleb's going to run all over UCLA as long as there's no weather. Because if there's weather, apparently they beat teams. They beat Nebraska. So TCU. And as we call him, Besh. I always thought it was Beck, but I guess that's Carson Beck. He's actually the number 2 fantasy receiver.
As most of them say, we just call him Beach.
Beach.
He's a beach.
He's a beach.
I want to go beach on the river. So
right.
I want to feel this. I want to feel the sand between my fingers.
But he's got a great match at Oklahoma State. I mean, they another team that can't stop a nosebleed or doesn't care. They're kind of like the Arizona of the. I guess they're in the same conference now, but they're kind of like Arizona to me. Oklahoma State's junk. And then one more, Shager from Hawaii. He's actually having a pretty decent year. He's a top 20 fantasy quarterback. They're playing UNLV. I love me some UNLV. So that'll be a fun match. You're looking for a late night game, something to tune into if you're home, 10 o'clock at night or something. Put Hawaii and UNLV on. That should be a fun game. And these are the 6 here. So.
Yes. But
we got it in. We did it.
Yes. Little unorthodox like normal. Hey, look. Hey, is that a
Kobe?
Is that a Braves hat? Well, I'll be dipped. Look at that. Hey, Anthony. Hey, look. I have a A's. I have a freaking Braves hat right here.
Well, you won't see the. Is it? I forget what the A's. Did they get rid of the Oakland part?
Yes.
Yeah. So they'll just be they're just the Athletics. They don't have a city right now.
But yeah, little unorthodox this week. But I mean, hey, other than that, things happen. We wanted to. I thought we weren't going to have a show, but I got my computer rebooted, made sure our audio was working and whatnot. So I mean that helped out quite a bit. So. At first it was gonna be a little disappointing, but if everybody can give us a like and subscribe, we would totally appreciate it for sure. We put a lot of work into what we do to present a lot of things to you guys, and we hopefully you guys can take.
Donovan, he's got a whole door full of them. That's why he pulls out a new one every episode. You guys ready for some hockey? Release the Kraken. That's just on his couch. I mean,
I have hats everywhere.
Yeah.
Trust me, I have hats everywhere. I have hats for days. I can pick a hat up for every day of the week if it came to it. But
he color coordinates with it.
But everybody, please give us a like, subscribe, please. I mean, if you like our content, please share it. We have a Discord channel too. I mean, all that stuff is listed below too as well. So I mean, if you want to jump on our Discord, you can chit chat with me a little bit. I mean, I try to make it as lively as I can. I usually share. I mean, I also do share our weekly waivers over there too. So I mean, if you're in our Discord, you actually do get the waivers too over there. Oh my God, he's got more hats than Diddy dildos.
Get some of the baby oil too, Donovan.
But I mean, we appreciate everybody that actually jumped in.
We should get a Photoshop of the two of us, Diddy and the Pope.
Hey, maybe somebody out there in the Twitter world maybe somebody out there in the Twitter world can do that for us.
Yeah. Cam Ward, the two of us, and Diddy.
All right, guys. But stay tuned for next week. I might be guesting somewhere next Monday, possibly. So stay tuned for my Twitter feed and where I might be guesting with somebody out there. So stay tuned for that. But I mean, other than that, we appreciate everybody that jumped in the the live chat with us, at least, a little bit unorthodox. We appreciate everybody that was watching over on either YouTube's X and Twitch. We have our one Twitch guy over there, Anthony over there. But I mean, other than that, we'll catch you guys next Wednesday. It won't be as orthodox as this one, but I mean, if you guys love us like this, who knows? We might do a different setup, different cameras, and who knows? I mean, if you like,
get face to face up in this bitch.
We'll give you a very, very lovely experience. We'll just put it that way. But other than that, guys, we appreciate everybody watching. We're gonna get the heck up out of here. From Other Rhythm, I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We'll catch you guys next time. Later.